Nowadays, many companies are struggling with their customers and their needs. And there is quite a little brand preference and a lot of disappointments. And more often than not, the customer experience is broken. Today, I will share some of my key learnings from both advertising and software development. And we are going to talk how can we improve customer experiences, how can we make coherent, consistent experiences and delight people. A lot of my talk centers around people today, so around you, around us, human beings. But before we go there, let me tell you something about myself. As Atte told you, I've always been super interested about people. And actually that interest guided me to university to study more. I really wanted to understand why we behave the way we behave, what kind of habits, biases, and motives are behind our current behavior. So I started studying behavioral sciences. I studied education, social psychology, and psychology, and I loved it. But during the economic depression, I kind of realized that maybe these fine subjects won't necessarily help me to get a real job. So I assigned myself to marketing classes. And I was like, Eureka, this is a match made in heaven. Behavioral sciences are doing their best to figure out why people behave the way they behave. And at the same time, marketers, they are doing their best to change our behavior, to change our current habits. So I had my master plan. And I walked to the biggest and the most respected ad agency in Helsinki and told them that, you guys, you don't know that yet, but you should hire me. I know people, and you want to do better marketing for them. Well, I guess the time wasn't right, because I didn't qualify even for a trainee. But that was 10 years ago. And I'm super happy to be here with you guys today, and I'm still feeling very passionate about people. And actually, I made a little shift in my career around 8 months ago, and I moved from advertising to the world of technology. And today, we are here to talk about why the customer journey, and actually why the customer experience so often is broken, and how can we improve that. The big fundamental issue today is that companies are divided into units, business units, departments. So the typical situation is something like this. Inside of one company, there are these units, business units, silos. And these units, they are like subcultures. They have sometimes even they have their own language. They have their own goals, own ways of seeing the world around us, and they even have own ways of seeing who's the customer. So the bottom line is, all of these different units, they work in an isolation. So inside of one company, there are these isolated units that rarely talk with each other. They don't share ways of doing. Actually, they rarely share knowledge or best practices. And they don't share same vision. They are not sharing the same understanding. What is the desired customer experience we all should deliver every single time? So transparency and customer centricity. They are just nice words in the mission statement. So what happens then? Companies splatter totally irrelevant, disconnected messages to variant group of people whenever they want to. And the outcome is something like this. So all the brand building efforts are made in vain because the messages don't have the same foundation. The signals that the brand is sending in different ways, in different time in the customer journey, they don't reflect, they don't resonate with us. And we are totally confused. We don't understand what we're supposed to do, what to believe, what the brand is trying to tell us, and what we should believe. Seriously, we have no clue because the messages that the brand is sending to us are not talking the same language. Their foundation is different. And the truth is that people, the audience, the customers, they don't care about the silos. Because those silos and departments inside of the company don't play any role to people. So it really doesn't matter like who's sending the bill, who's doing the campaigns, or app, or homepage, or whatever, tone of actions. It doesn't play any role to us, because the truth is that people only experience one brand experience. So, what is a brand then? Brand is a sum of all those experiences. So every single encounter with the brand matters. So anything that the brand does should never be designed in an isolation. It should always reflect to the bigger vision, to the bigger strategy, where the company is heading. So in order to deliver these coherent and consistent and delightful experiences to people, there really is need to be aligned, to share understanding inside of the company, where we are going, what kind of world we are trying to create here, and what is the desired customer experience we want to deliver every time, in every touch point along the customer journey. And more often, companies should ask from themselves, what kind of world we are creating. So this shared understanding is like a glue that ties together all the actions. Because without shared alignment, shared understanding, there are just opinions, and it's really hard to lead and manage with opinions. Netflix says in their company culture that they are highly aligned loosely coupled. So their strategy and goals are clear, specific, and broadly understood. And you know what their goals are? Does anybody know? To be big, fast, and flexible. Quite clear to me. So, second major challenge that today's companies are facing, and that's one of the reasons why they are not able to deliver coherent and consistent experiences to people, and the customer journey is broken so often, is that companies don't know their audience well enough. And don't get me wrong, a lot of companies have massive amounts of data. They know quite a lot about us. They know where we live and where we shop and how we shop, and they know our history, they know our preferences and even our interests. And they could predict a lot of things with that data. But the bottom line is that today's companies lack the ability to turn that data into actionable insights. And what happens if you don't have that ability? Companies splatter irrelevant, totally disconnected messages to undefined group of people whenever they want to. And we feel interrupted. Target is a great example of, they are a pioneer of data-driven personalizations, and they were even able to identify pregnant women. And not even pregnant women from their customers, but pregnant women in their first trimester. By combining different data, they were able to do this. And I think it's quite amazing. So to keep up with these ever-changing and highly complex markets, it's time to really put the buzzwords aside and put people in the center of thinking. Because there's a massive need to start understanding individuals way better in order to succeed in the future. Because we have moved from mass communication, where companies and brands were telling us what to do. They were telling us what to think, like, L'Oreal, I'm worth it, to the era where we are able to group people by demographic factors, to the era and the time we are moving very, very fast now, to the individual level. And mobile devices, they've been playing a huge role in this shift. Mobiles are highly personal, and they are always with us. So every company and every brand wants to start building one-on-one relationship with their customers in one point or another. But the rules are different. The rules are totally different when we enter to this one-to-one level. To be able to create these meaningful relationships, you really need to create content that is for me. So the content needs to be highly curated, personalized, and customized for me. If it's general, I will move on, and the worst case is that I will abandon the brand. So to sum up this part, to be able to deliver coherent and consistent experiences, shared vision, shared alignment and understanding where the company is going is the glue that ties all the actions together. And to be able to create these meaningful relationships with individuals, we need to start understanding them way, way, way better. So, when surrounding world is getting more and more complex, I really think that we must adapt new ways of doing. To help with that, I would like to share some of my key learnings from both advertising and software development. And let's start with software development. So, as said, the world is getting more and more complex, and there are new technologies and innovations popping up every single day, every single corner. And the world is changing rapidly. It's like hard to manage it anymore. We people, we haven't changed that much. We are still motivated about same things. And our habits are pretty much the same. And we tend to lie to ourselves more than we lie to others. We make like thousands of rational decisions every single day. We base our behavior and decisions on facts and rational thinking. Or so we think. Because the truth is that emotions dictate our habits. We tend to buy cars by the look and trust our first instinct when buying a flat. And we women, we like to shop with a girlfriend who doesn't judge our shopping. So what does this totally unpredictable world and behavior means to companies? We need to start experimenting. Because complexity requires experimenting. That is the only way to find out where is pull, where is new possibilities, and what might resonate. So instead of aiming for final, experiment. And it's totally okay to fail. It's part of the process. But experimenting requires courage. It is scary for not knowing what's happening and what kind of events we are heading at. So what I learned was that start experimenting with real problems and make the solution as simple as possible. So for example, look at your customer journey, analyze it, and find the pain points. And experiment with real problems. Because what people really want is that you solve their problems as easily as possible. And as my colleague always says, 0 users, 0 insight. So keep experimenting. And take the learning. Iterative process is a way of doing. When you think you're done, go back and do it again. The software developers here have taught me that software is ready when it's taken out of use. So no need to iterate anymore. So that feedback really guides design decisions, and prioritization. So keep iterating. I already learned that the work will get better. An autonomous team, that's the heart. Because that gives you the capability to react real time. So autonomous team sitting side by side with the customer, the decision maker, is the key to react fast. Okay, let's move to the world of advertising. What it takes to stand out, what it takes to be meaningful and lovable. Find the uniqueness in you. So in the world where like almost everything is done, find what's unique in you. Embrace that and deliver that in every single possible turn. So think about your brand and find out what's true in that, what's unique in that, and embrace that. It can be your process itself, it can be your heritage, it can be your story, it can be your unique way of talking to your audience, or it can be a unique tone of actions. But find the uniqueness and reflect that to the market. Reflect that to your customers and to your competitors. And at this point, be really honest to yourself. Is that unique thing really that unique that it differentiates you from others? And when you find that unique thing, turn that into compelling and inspiring brand. And I think this is one of the most important things when designing and planning brands. Because if you are not 100% sure why you exist and what's unique in you, your customers won't know that either. So build purpose and find the uniqueness. Right people will follow. I promise that. One wise man said once that insight is like unspoken human truth. And it is like that. Powerful insights, they unleashes the creativity. They give tangible direction for your ideas, and powerful insights drives implementation. So insight is a foundation for strategy, and they can be found from different sources. Just look around, research, and do observation. Look what's happening around you. Take a look at the data, but then take a look out of the window and go to see people and stare at people like I like to do. So take a look at what's happening at the culture. What's happening in the world of your audience, what's happening in the market. And when you look at your audience, it is more valuable to ask why instead of what. So keep asking why. Why they behave the way they do. Why they are looking at the wrong direction and not to us. And why they are motivated about certain things. And use all those insights to figure out your unique angle. actually, I have one story I want to tell you. It's about sensing the momentum. I used to work with an airline Norwegian some years ago, and Princess Madeleine broke up with her boyfriend that time, the cheater one, and Norwegian in Oslo used that piece of information in a clever way and turned that information into their advantage and reacted fast. So they were experimenting already. And they put out a campaign saying, Princess Madeleine is single, flights to Stockholm, 30 euros. So entertain, inspire and delight. And if nothing else, just do cool stuff. Because you may have the perfect technical solution, the finest code, or the most powerful insight that nobody has used before. But if you cannot communicate it well, nobody will know about that. And communication is actually really simple. It's all about psychology. It's about emotions, it's about feelings. So besides answering the real problems that the client is telling that the customers have, or the customers are indicating that they have these kind of problems, our job is also to move, to touch people. So tell a great story, because emotionally resonating stories will give physical reactions. And that's why Volvo Trucks is here. It's not an example from yesterday, but it's a great example. They work in a B2B sector, and they had a problem. They wanted to tell people that they have this magnificent steering system. So they could have done this in a totally different way. And they chose to put hamster over there to drive the truck. And they chose to hire Van Damme to do the epic split. This summer in Cannes Lions Festivals, one of the cyber jury panelists pointed out that the ideal situation is where you don't see technology nor campaigns, but just the human experience. And I could not agree more. So, be brave and experiment. It's okay to fail as well. And have a clear purpose. Why do you exist? What kind of world you are creating? And delight. Delight people in every possible turn. Thank you.